Assalamu alaikum. We're in China. It's time for an M+ special. This is part 2 of the series on halal food in China and the Far East. I'd actually filmed in the Far East, China and Hong Kong and such, where I got to experience some really unique food at these restaurants, and I'm told that quite a few of these places are now being altered, so I wanted to share the experiences that I had. The second you bite in, that familiar taste of meat like overtakes everything, and that's what you want. That
你们不是打车过去吗？还有点远，对，20公里。
I love how nice the menu is.
9点钟啊。
I love menus like this. I love the fact that they have such descriptive photos. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get this just because it's so big. This restaurant is actually originally based in Tianjin. It was such a good restaurant for Chinese food out there that the premier actually requested they move to Beijing, and that's how they moved here. It's over 100 years old, and they're known as one of the best halal restaurants in Beijing. And if you want to have Peking duck, this is pretty much the only place that I know of that has halal Peking duck in Beijing. Unfortunately, I came here pretty late at night, which is why I probably look tired, and they don't have any Peking duck right now. But later in the day, I'll probably come tomorrow and try to get those for you. So I did get the braised oxtail though, and it is pretty slimy. It's like paya if you've ever had that in South Asian cuisine. You know what? I'm going to use my fingers for this. But if you can see, it's really, really slimy. So here goes nothing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was expecting it to be papaya. It's not. It's actually meat. So it's got this almost I wouldn't say viscous layer of fluid, viscous layer of fat, and you've got this really tender meat on the inside. Shit. And you've got this really tender meat on the inside, and if you can see, I don't know if you can actually see that redness over there. It's really good. It's a little messy. Yeah, it is oxtail, so you have to eat it on the bone. But my God, it's tender. Don't be afraid of the texture. It's a little gelatinous when you touch it, and the texture is a little different than probably what you're used to. But the second you bite in, that familiar taste of meat like overtakes everything. And that's what you want. I'm really excited. Like I'm half dead. I'm half asleep. But this dish is giving me life right now. I'm gonna have the carrot just because there is a carrot in here. It's like any carrot that's been cooked in meat sauce is alright. So now I'm having the spicy lamb. What's interesting about this dish is you get these are dried peppers that have basically been flash fried, or maybe they're just dried peppers that have been pan seared. I'm not really sure. So what's interesting about the spicy lamb is like if you look at the dish, you'll see there's like all of these seeds from the chilies all throughout the dish itself. So I'm expecting it to be spicy. I'm not really sure if it will be or not. What's interesting is like, I don't know if you can hear this, but the lamb piece itself, it's crunchy. So it's probably been fried in some way. Huh. It's been fried to the point where honestly I can't even tell there's a very subtle taste of the lamb, very subtle. It's not really spicy at all. And I also realized I don't know what this white thing is, but I don't like it. It's I'm really not sure what this is, but it's very it tastes like bitter gourd. Maybe that's what it is. It's crunchy. It's delicious. But I would probably pass. There are better things on the menu that you should probably try. That's it. So I actually tried the green. This is the bitter gourd. I tried it again. It's definitely bitter gourd. This thing right here. So be prepared for that if you plan on buying this dish. So this is the quick fried mutton with scallions. Although now that I'm looking at it, I don't really see any scallions, so maybe they forgot. Again, I'm sure the service is better earlier in the day, but right now it's not all that great, to be honest. But hey, it's a halal place. It's supposed to be good, so. Yeah, forget the service. The random flies. If I had to pick between the spicy lamb and the quick fried mutton, the quick fried mutton wins hands down. It's juicy. It's got a crunch, but it's very subtle. So the meat, there is a depth of flavor there, and it's not hiding. There's cumin and some very mild spices being used, and they work with the mutton flavor. I like this dish. If I had to pick between the spicy lamb and the quick fried mutton any day, so something I would recommend. So I came back to this restaurant and they said it was full. As you can tell from the noise around me, there are a lot of people here. And they said they don't have duck. And the only reason I came here was because they're one of the few places that I know that actually serves Halal Peking duck in Beijing. So I sweet talked my way in and I got myself a table and they're going to be serving me duck. So I'm excited about that. But obviously, since I can't really talk the language, it's a little hard. So I asked for noodles, for example, and I somehow ended up with noodle soup, which is fine. I'm always down for trying new things. So let's try this noodle soup out. I have no idea what's actually in it, because I didn't even order this, technically. So I see a bunch of cucumbers, carrots, and I see some really fine noodles with mushrooms. This is actually really refreshing. I didn't realize I was actually missing a warm soup. This is actually hitting the spot. Maybe I'm just really starving, I don't know. And the vegetables have to have a bite to it. There is some flavoring in the broth. I can't tell if it's chicken or some kind of meat. So I'm not really sure if this is vegetarian or not. Just because it's so hot, I actually can't tell the flavor of the soup. But the noodles are delicate and the vegetables do have the bite to them. So I'm going to try the beef dumpling first. This thing actually comes with a sauce. In the chaos, they've just brought a bunch of stuff to me, so it took me a while to figure that out. So I've heard if you come to Beijing, you have to try the dumplings. So here goes nothing. Bismillah. So I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if you'll actually focus on it. So you have this really tender, moist, juicy beef. In the inside there's some I can't tell if it's celery or some other kind of vegetable that gives us this brightness of flavor. But honestly, I don't think you even need the sauce, just have it plain. I prefer it plain actually. Oh yeah. The freshness of the meat. So this is, when I say it's juicy, I mean it's juicy. I don't know if you can tell, this thing's actually dripping. Like the beef juices in there. The texture in my mouth, it's very silky. The dumpling coating and the meat almost tastes like mincemeat, but it's not. It's slightly bigger chunks of meat. But it's delicious. It's been cooked perfectly. I would recommend you get that. I would also recommend come with a couple of friends. I actually came back again in the morning today to try to get a spot for myself, and there's a lot of food. The portions aren't small. The thing I like about this is like it's literally just bite-sized chunks of meat. So if you see, you can just rip them off the skewer. And what's great about this, I don't know if this will focus, but if you notice, there's like a cumin-based flavoring that's been put on top. So the seasoning that is on top, it's cumin-based with a bunch of like pepper flakes and things of that nature. And I love this flavor profile. The first time I had this in Shanghai, I fell in love with this dish. I'm curious to see what it tastes like here. Or it's the right kind of gamey. Yeah, it's the right kind of gamey like taste that you want. I'm really tempted to finish all of that right now, and I shouldn't, so I'm gonna wait. The next dish I'm really excited about is the Peking duck. So this one, there's a couple places in Chicago that are known for making really good Peking duck. But if you're in Beijing, or Peking if you want to call it that, the duck is famous here. So I'm curious to see what it's like. So let me pick a slightly fatty piece. I don't know if you can tell. So this duck right here. Yeah, it's got this really oily texture. There's a bunch of fat in there. I've never had that flavor profile before. Actually, I take that back. It reminds me of duck breast. If you ever gone to like a, I think it was a French restaurant the last time I had duck breast. It kind of reminds me of that. So you have these different like cuts of meat. The thing that unifies them all is you get this really crispy, glistening structure of duck skin on top, and you get either a bunch of fat like my previous piece, or you get a bunch of meat like this one. So when you order duck, you actually get the option of actually just getting the duck by itself, or you get it with a bunch of side dishes like wrappers and things of that nature, and sauces and stuff like that. I elected to just go with the simple one just because it's just me right now. Maybe if you had the sauces with you, it would be a much more complex flavor profile. Personally, since I haven't had Peking duck, I would try it, but it's probably not something that I'll order again unless I was with somebody who really likes Peking duck. So coming back to the flavor profile itself, what's interesting is you've got this crispy duck skin, and when you bite into it, it almost liquefies with the fat underneath, and you have this burst of flavor that hits your mouth. And then if you have a bit of meat, you have the duck meat itself, and if you like duck meat, that's great. I personally am more of a lamb, beef kind of person, so for me, that's not the flavor profile I do like. But just that burst of flavor that you get when you have that first bite in, and you're crunching into the skin, along with the meat and that fat, just that cacophony of flavors when that hits you in your tongue, if you're not prepared for it, it's an experience. So if you've never had Peking duck before, I'd recommend you try it at least once. And this is one of the places that I'd suggest you come to, because obviously in Beijing, where else are you going to get something as authentic? You know what? Now that I actually think about it, once your mind is like mentally prepared for the Peking duck, it's actually pretty good. Like, especially when you get these pieces that have like the fat on the outside, and then you have the meat, and you have the crispy skin. They work pretty well. The skin, this won't sound appetizing at all. I'm sorry if it doesn't. The skin almost have this plasticky like texture when you're first looking at it, or when you're first having that mouthfeel, so to speak. But once you actually get that bite in, and you hit the fat, and the fat starts like liquefying in your tongue, and that smooth, almost oily, luxurious like feel hits your palate, and then you go into the actual like meat, and you start tasting the meat itself. It's actually a pretty complex dish. Like it is a pretty complex dish itself if you pick the right pieces. I think as an amateur, I just picked the ones that were like complete fat or complete meat. But when you have a mixture of all three, that's different. Yeah, I take that back. You should definitely have Peking duck at least once, and I might actually recommend you get it again, just in case you forget what it tastes like, just to refresh your memory. It is an experience, and I'm really glad, Alhamdulillah, I get a chance to try Peking duck in Beijing, in Hongingbulu, if I'm pronouncing it right. One of the best halal Chinese restaurants in Beijing.